Hey there everyone, this is Fillers here from ComputerKing.com web hosting, trying to come and build a wonderful, fun little video for you on how to go and get set up with WordPress on your very own web hosting platform. The reason for creating this video is I have a lot of different clients that contact me or get signed up for web hosting and they don't exactly know how to get started with getting set up with their own WordPress website. Either they have WordPress up on WordPress.com and they want to move it on over to their own web hosting, or just various things. They have an HTML website and they want to get started with something a little fancier, a content management system. So this video is created for the purpose of helping people out that are kind of in that circumstance. So to get started, generally you'll go and you'll get set up with some sort of web hosting platform. And once you do, you'll receive an email that'll contain information along the lines of this. It'll provide you your hosting package, your domain, your billing cycle, your due date. It'll have your login credentials for CPanel, which will contain your username and password. It'll contain you some brief information on how to access CPanel, whether or not it's just the IP address because you don't have the domain propagated, or whether or not it's actually the full URL. Generally, you can actually just access it by going to your website /cPanel. So just whatever your domain is /cPanel, and that should usually take you into the login location so you can log it in and access the backend. It should also provide you the name servers, which allows you to go and set up and point your domain on over to the IP address of whatever web hosting platform you're using. It also provides some information like your how to access it via FTP. Generally, you just need to make use of your domain or the IP address, and then use in the login credentials that you've been provided for your cPanel. And that'll allow you to access and log into your FTP so you can upload files. It should also, if you're lucky and they're nice to you and they hook you up, provide you some basic mail information on how to go and get set up for your mail. So with that being said, we've received this information, we're good to go, we understand it, and we want to now log into our cPanel. When you log into your cPanel, you'll be presented with a page that looks similar to this. This top section might look different. You might have some different options here, but by and large, most of the information you see will be quite similar. You'll have some stats on the left-hand side, which will provide you, how much disk space you've used, what your monthly bandwidth transfer is, your domain, as well as your home directory, in case you need to write any scripts for your website on how to access it. So for now, we want to get set up with WordPress. Very easy, very simple, but for WordPress to work, we're going to need to get set up with a database. So the first thing you're going to want to do is on the right-hand side, either with the Find utility, or you can just scroll and find it, you're going to need to look for the database section. Now with the database section found, look at that, I located it, it's good to go. I'm even pointing it out to you. We are going to click on the MySQL databases. Now what this is going to let us do, it's going to let us create a MySQL database, and it's going to let us create a user, attach those two together, and use for a WordPress config. So we're here, we're good to go. Our hosting package has allowed us to create databases. You'll notice that the opening and beginning part of your database name is static. You can't change it. That's to make it so that you have a unique database and you're not potentially trying to access someone else's database. It will begin with your actual username. So your username, that's the reason why your username is usually always set up to 7 or 8 characters as a max, is so you can have 8_8, and that means that it's allowed for a total of 17 characters for your name. But for this circumstance, generally because for your user, at least for the default setups for a lot of different hosting packages, it's only allowed about 15 characters, I believe. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice short new database. So we have your webs _, and since we're making a WordPress website, let's just go with Word. Create that database. Out of the database, your webs _ Word. Now, the reason I like to do it and make it so that it's very short is so that I can actually create my MySQL user to be the exact same thing. And that way, when I go and create the configuration, it makes things nice and easy. If later on I need to make a script so I can automatically make a backup of my database, it makes it nice and easy, nice and simple. It reduces errors in the long run. Now, in order to make it so your MySQL user works, you're going to need to create a password. So for this circumstance, to make a nice, strong, good password to prevent people from accessing it and figuring it out for you, I recommend using the password generator. You click on the button, Comes up with this little section right here. And what I always do is I click the advanced options, and you'll be presented with some options: length, alpha characters, non-alpha characters. Length is fine. 12 is very, very hard to crack. Alpha characters, uppercase and lowercase, very easy. I've seen issues before based off of all my different experience with actually making use of symbols. So because of that, I always go and remove symbols and just make it so that there's only numbers. With that being said, I have a nice strong password, 12 characters long. I selected it. I am going to right click it and copy. And then I'm going to open up Notepad and make a copy of that actual password. That way, later on, when I create the configuration file for WordPress, it's good to go. It's an easy location, and I pretty much only need it for that one time. Click on the little button. I have copied this password to a safe place. Click on Use Password, and there we go. Voila! It's copied it into the password and the password again field. With that being good, as you can see, the strength is very strong, 100 out of 100, which is pretty cool. Click on the Create User. Added user yourwebs_word with that password. Go back. The other thing you're going to want to notice and make note of is sometimes based on your configuration, I'm scrolling up and down to see whether or not it actually displays. Based on your configuration, there might be a little section right here that says that you have a remote database setup. Right now, because my database server and my actual hosting server are exactly the same, it doesn't display that. It's just going to be localhost. But if you're having problems and issues connecting up to your database, I'd verify and look right around in this section right here to see whether or not it tells you that this makes use of a remote database server. If so, it'll provide you the URL or the IP address that you need to hook up to that, and that'll slightly change your configuration file, but not an issue. Now that we've done that, we need to add the user to the database. So you'll have a select box right here with your users, all the users that you have, and a select box right here with all the databases you have. Since this is a brand new CPanel account and we just created one database, we created one user, pretty much it's exact standard, good to go. Everything's set up the way I want. Click on the add button. We'll be presented with some options right here for my user, my database. And pretty much right now, this page, you'll never actually change anything else. You're always just going to select all privileges and you make changes. What that does is it gives your user all the privileges to access the database, meaning that it can insert content, it can update content, it can delete content, it can do whatever it needs to do to make your life easier. So with that being said, we can see right here we have a database, we have a user, and we actually have the size of it as well, and some actions. So we're good to go. We see that our database is hooked up with our user. We can move on to step 2. That's taken care of. Now what we need to do is either in a new tab or just in the existing address bar, connect on over to wordpress.org. So with wordpress.org, I would give you the exact link on how to download the content, but since WordPress updates and changes so often, it's probably better for you by the time that you watch this video, just go to wordpress.org and download either the latest zip file or the latest tar file. The method by which I'm going to teach you, your extraction tool is going to be able to download either one. Generally, you'll find that the tar file is a little bit smaller, but whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe you already have WinZip installed and you're good to go. But just go ahead, click on the button. It's going to download it into your download directory. For ease of use, I've already downloaded it. It's good to go, but I'm going to be making use of a tool called WinRAR. WinRAR, it's a great thing to have installed on your computer if you don't actually have WinZip installed, or if you already have WinZip, this is vastly superior because it'll extract zip files as well as tar files. I will provide this down in the description so you can easily access it. All you have to do is know whether or not you have your 64-bit operating system or 32-bit and install it and you're good to go. So for this circumstance, I'm going to right-click WordPress -3.5.1.zip and I'll be presented 2 options. You can either extract it here, which will extract all the files to the current directory, or you can extract it into a new directory that gets created. Generally, with the content, if I'm not familiar with it, I'm just going to extract it into a directory with this, where it has this little file name right here, which essentially just takes the file name, gets rid of the extension, and that becomes your new directory. The only circumstance is that if you have 1,000 files inside of that zip or tar file, it'll extract everything right here. and it can sometimes mix and it make it very, very difficult to find the content that you need. So that's always kind of a safe option, which is extracting into a folder. So we do that, and we notice that it actually has a folder inside of it, which is the WordPress folder. Double click into that, and you'll see all the files in the base directory for your WordPress website. Now, with all this information right here, all we need to really concentrate on, and the only file we're going to mess with,